This is my review of Peter Pan and Wendy. Directed by David Lowery, Peter Pan and Wendy is Disney's live-action remake of their classic film of the classic fairy tale. And it's basically the same story that we all know and grew up with about Peter Pan, Wendy, George, John going off to Neverland in order to escape the horrors of growing up, which is something I'm kind of relating to as I'm turning 19 in a few weeks. But enough about me, what about the movie? The first 40-ish minutes of the movie, I was honestly kind of liking it. I thought it was quite whimsical, had some charm to it. It did feel like we were going to go on some kind of a fun adventure, and so, while nothing too special, I was in so far. But unfortunately, just like the other live-action remakes, this film felt like a lesser version of the original movie. Even though it takes different directions from the original movie, they just weren't interesting enough directions to justify themselves, and the story ended up feeling so standard and average despite having some differences from the story of the animated version. Another disappointing thing I had with this movie was Hook's motivation. He has a tragic backstory in this film, which honestly had a lot of potential and could have been interesting, but my problem is that his motivation, which aside from killing Peter Pan was killing these children, that motivation just, to me, didn't quite mesh well with his backstory and what he personally stands for. If anything, it almost even felt somewhat contradictory in a way, and so obviously, I won't get too specific because of spoilers, but his motivation just didn't quite make much sense to me. Last but not least, the ending of this film I also didn't think was good. I thought it was contradictory to the character arc of Peter Pan in this movie, and so, yeah, that I also didn't like. Peter Pan and Wendy is yet another lackluster live-action remake. It's not an awful film, I didn't hate it or anything. There were some good things about it, the music was nice, and it also introduced this really brilliant new idea of the things you can do with shadows here that I would honestly love to see fleshed out more in other Peter Pan adaptations, but everything else is just such a standard and at times boring retelling of this classic story that the film has a hard time justifying its own existence when you have the original film that was just great the way it was. But hey, that's just kind of what you get with most of these live-action remakes, huh? Heck, I would honestly prefer to watch the 2003 live-action version over this one. I'm gonna give Peter Pan and Wendy a 5.5 out of 10. Stay tuned if you would like to see more film reviews. Peace out, fellow moviegoers.